With a development history stretching back almost a decade, Starfield is one of the biggest and most exciting galaxies in gaming right now. And the more we play it, the more we realize it's freaking huge. With such a massive map to explore, it's easy to miss the little details, like the fact that Starfield is filled with dozens of hidden locations, jokes, and Easter eggs. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 insane details you totally missed in Starfield. Number 10, just 5 more minutes. In a game offering 1,000 planets to explore, it's an unexpected surprise to see so many hidden gems in our own solar system. Just like real life, each one of the planets in our solar system has its own unique properties, including a different appearance, size, and even a different force of gravity. One of the more specific details from real life, however, is very easy to miss: the unique day cycle on the planet Venus. Due to Venus rotating on its axis much more slowly than Earth does, a day on Venus lasts far longer than a day on Earth, and incredibly, Starfield's included this detail. If you touch down on Venus and try and sleep in your ship, you'll see that every hour you rest on Venus is worth 100 hours of universal time. So sleeping for 1 day on Venus means that 100 days will pass in the game. That's a long nap. If you're looking for in-game applications of this mind-blowing detail, sleeping for 100 days is a great way to refresh any trader's inventories. Number 9. Well, now we know it wasn't aliens. In Starfield, a game about exploration, there's always an excuse to skip the main quest and just go exploring. There's no shortage of beautiful horizons or scannable planetary features to discover across Starfield. But if you're in the mood for something a little more local, there's a book in a killer city that can show you how to access a hidden spot, an ancient wonder of the world. And out of the many landmarks that could have been hidden on Earth, this one is the most ancient of them all. In the year 2330, the planet Earth is devoid of life and hope. A century prior, a mysterious cataclysm rendered the planet completely unlivable, and humanity was forced to flee to the stars to survive. But if you visit Earth, you can still find some buildings and landmarks in the barren desert that was once our home. And among those landmarks, near the lost city of Cairo, are the pyramids of Giza. This beautiful and enduring monument is a must-see for anyone looking to try out Starfield's photo mode, and you can also pick up a cool collectible as a memento while you're there. Number 8. Whoops. If you've been traveling through the solar system, you'll most likely have come across some very unfamiliar new additions to the planet Mars. Most notably, the city of Sedonia. Named after a real-life area on the northern hemisphere of Mars, it's been theorized that it was once home to living creatures. In Starfield, the theory becomes fact, and not only that, you can drop in and visit. This brutalist, heavy industrialized mining town has dug itself deep into the red planet's surface in search of resources, making it a good source of iron in case you found yourself needing some extra materials. And its subterranean levels are a blast to explore. From the shipyards to the bounty office, Sedonia's gritty atmosphere is unique throughout all of Starfield. What your average explorer might not pay attention to, however, is the hidden detail in the entrance sign, reading "Hours without incident." While at first it seems like an innocuous piece of set dressing, if you perform any hostile action near the sign, the counter actually resets to 0. And as you play the game, you can come back to see it counting up again. Don't make too much trouble now. Number 7. We've been trying to reach you. Space is a big place, but that doesn't mean it gets lonely. During space travel in Starfield, there are a variety of different encounters with other craft, including spaceships from different factions, commercial liners, and some captains who are a complete mystery. But out of all these encounters you can stumble across, none are quite as persistent as this one, a random encounter who's followed you across the reaches of space to talk to you about your ship's extended warranty. We wish we were kidding, but no, these real-life scammers have made it even into the far-flung future of Starfield. And if you're willing, they'll con you to the tune of 50,000 credits. In return for this outrageous fee, you'll receive, yep, you guessed it, absolutely nothing of use. And the scammers go along their merry way. Take a few blasts at them, however, and they'll immediately turn tail, grab jumping for the hills. While blasting ships to smithereens on sight is generally frowned upon, we wouldn't blame you if you wanted to take a couple of shots at these guys. And we sure hope your companions wouldn't either. Number 6. Standing on the shoulders of giants. Starfield has a lot of planets. That's not big news, but as you pan across the star map in search of new adventure, you might miss one important detail: the planet's names. In the Alpha Centauri system, which is full of new animals, plants, and cities to explore, you can see the planets Jemison, Gagarin, and Olivus, the last of which is orbited by the moon Chorla. What do these names have in common? They're all named after real-life astronauts: Macy Jemison, Yuri Gagarin, and John D. Olivus, and Kalpana Chawla. Since this system is the ideal spot for an outpost, naming the planets after famous space explorers is a fitting homage. Those planets aren't the only ones to be inspired by the names of real people either. There are plenty more planets and systems across Starfield named after famous scientists. A whole solar system in Starfield is named after Werner Heisenberg, as well as all 19 planets within it. And another system is named after Ernest Rutherford, the atomic physicist who also inspired the name of the element Rutherfordium. There are probably more systems named for astronauts and scientists out there, so happy hunting. Number 5. Roving to this day. As you explore Starfield, you'll find a lot of carefully preserved memories of old Earth scattered across the galaxy. If you visit the planet Jemison, there's even a museum in New Atlantis full of memorabilia that you can walk around. But it's a big galaxy after all, and there are some famous heirlooms that the historians of New Atlantis have missed, including some iconic old devices from NASA explorations which have lasted into the 24th century. Among other famous spacefaring gear, which is mentioned later in this article, you can find a famous face on the surface of Mars. If you visit Mars, there's obviously the colony of Sedonia to explore, but there's also a lot of rocky terrain surrounding the city. If you're willing to venture out into the chill environs of the Red Planet, you can discover an artifact that was lost even to NASA, the Opportunity rover. Still on the surface of Mars all these centuries later, the real Opportunity was lost in a massive dust storm around 2018, after which it entered hibernation. The fact that Starfield added this detail for players to rediscover shows that there's some true love behind the scenes for space exploration. Number 4. How high the mountains of Skyrim rose. Because Starfield is a Bethesda game, fans obviously had a question upon release. Where are all the Elder Scrolls references? Not only is the game series now a cultural icon, but Bethesda Game Studios has a habit of referencing their other games in new releases, the allusion to Nirnroot and Fallout 4 being an obvious example. And true to form, Starfield has a ton of Elder Scrolls Easter eggs, and all the ones we've found are nods to the Elder Scrolls 5th installment, Skyrim. The Skyrim references span the galaxy in Starfield, and one that you might have missed is in the Crimson Fleet questline. In the prison files, you can see an escaped prisoner named Delvin Mallory, member of Skyrim's Thieves Guild, and apparently still at large. Of course, there are some more classic Skyrim jokes in there, like the ever-popular arrow to the knee, as one colonist begins a story with, "I used to be an explorer like you, but then never mind, it's a long story." The arrow to the knee gags don't stop there. They're even in the upgrade tree. Unlocking the cripple skill badge changes it to an arrow, which is piercing, of course, a knee. Number 3. One small step for man. A lot of the Easter eggs in Starfield seem to be a love letter to real-life space exploration, and this next one is no different. Just like you're able to find the Opportunity rover on Mars, you can also find another classic piece of NASA equipment, this time a monument left behind from the space race. Mentioned in-game in a randomly dropped journal, there's a landing area on the surface of the moon where a quick scan will reveal the site of the moon landing. If you visit Earth's moon, or Luna as it's known in Starfield, and touch down on the landing area, you can find some old Earth treasures left behind. The Apollo 11 lunar module, as well as the American flag, still stand proudly on the moon's surface centuries after humanity has moved beyond the bounds of the solar system. Of course, in real life, the harsh solar radiation filtering through the moon's thin atmosphere would have bleached the real American flag bone white by 2033, but that wouldn't be as good of a photo opportunity. Number 2. Put on the suit, let's go a few rounds. Unsurprisingly, for a game that allows you to explore other planets, a lot of Starfield is set in space. You're sure to have already noticed the obvious details. You're free from the constraints of gravity, as is every item you drop while outside the ship, and taking off your spacesuit is generally considered a bad idea. But Starfield has added some very small and very cool details regarding your movement in zero-G and your spacesuit, which you might not have noticed. If you shoot a normal firearm in space, of course you'll move backwards. This is due to Newton's third law, and unlike anything on the ground, you'll have no force of gravity affecting your recoil. But Starfield also has energy weapons, and in a cool attention to detail, these don't push you back, because they aren't firing projectiles with mass. Nifty, right? There's also a funny detail you can find in your spacesuit if you're looking for it. If you wear the helmet labeled "Do Not Use" and switch to third-person mode, you can see the reverse of the label in the corner of your screen, which obscures your view. Someone really ought to fix that helmet. Number 1. All the movie references. Of all the insane details in an already enormous game, it's amazing that Starfield also finds the time to add in some pop culture jokes. If you keep an eye out, there are plenty of fantastic visual gags and movie references in Starfield, and these two were pretty hard to find, but 100% worth looking for. The first is a letter from a hacker signed Newman to another person called Dodgson regarding an upcoming heist. This is an obscure but hilarious reference to Jurassic Park. Dodgson is the buyer for the dinosaur eggs who meets up with the hacker Nedry at the beginning of the movie. Nedry was played by actor Wayne Knight, who among other characters had a role on Seinfeld as, you guessed it, Newman. I guess the movie puns, find a way. The second hidden detail we found is hidden in the description for an item, the common potato. The entry for it reads, "Can be boiled, mashed, put in stews," which is almost word for word the description that Samwise Gamgee gives for a potato in Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings trilogy. It seems that even in the year 2033, this iconic quote lives on. That's the end of our list, but let me know down in that comment section what insane details you found in Starfield so far. As always, I've been Jess from WhatCulture. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you like, you can come say hi to me on my Twitter account where I'm at Jess McDonald, but make sure you stay tuned to us here for plenty more gaming goodness. Thank you.